Space, the final frontier. Join us for a bold conversation. Our prime directive: to recap our favorite Star Trek shows, both new and old. To engage in debate about all things Trek. Prepare to energize with phasers set to stun.
Hello everyone and welcome back to Phasers Set to Stun, where we continue to show our love for everything Star Trek in this ongoing series from a film by podcast, which focuses on every quadrant of the expanding universe of Trek by covering television, animation, movies, directors, and so much more. Plotting the course, as always, is your core Trek crew. I'm David Burns.
I'm Scott Hoffman.
And I'm Wayne Whited.
Red alert, we are going to be talking about a film that has been out for a little while, but we still want to give that warning out there. So if you've not seen this movie, please go watch it and come back to join us. Top Pa, Top B. To be or not to be, to those who don't speak Klingon. Picture it. Cincinnati, 1991. A young boy named David has just graduated from high school, moving on to the unforgiving adult world full of hope and excitement, and to make things even better, he gets to see Star Trek: The Undiscovered Country at the end of that year, which to him was and still is the best Star Trek for the OG crew, in his opinion, of course. Released December 6th, 1991, with a budget of $30 million, and would roll on to earn almost $97 million worldwide. Story by Leonard Nimoy, Lawrence Connor, and Mark Rosenthal, with a screenplay by Nicholas Meyer and Denny Martin Flynn, and of course directed by Wrath of Khan director, which is probably why this is so good, Nicholas Meyer. Wayne, take us on a trip into the undiscovered country and tell our listeners what this film is all about.
After the devastating destruction of the moon Praxis sends the Klingon Empire into chaos, Captain James Kirk and the crew of the USS Enterprise are assigned a mission to bring the Klingon Chancellor Gorkon to Earth to negotiate a peace treaty with the United Federation of Planets. En route, the Enterprise appears to fire on the Chancellor's vessel, and Gorkon is killed in the confusion. Kirk and McCoy are arrested for the murder, leaving Spock to figure out who is behind the attack and save the negotiations. But there are those behind the scenes seeking out to destroy the new alliance before a treaty can even be signed.
Gentlemen, first thoughts on this film. Wayne, you go first.
Like you, I remember watching this. I love this film. Exactly like you said. I don't know if I put it number one, but it's definitely number two. It's fighting against Wrath of Khan as being the best. I'm not really sure. The film is so well constructed, which, after The Final Frontier, everything that The Final Frontier did wrong, Undiscovered Country did right. That's the best way I could put it.
I would agree. Scott, what about you?
I would actually eke this out to be my number one Trek film. I know that Wrath of Khan definitely has is a contender, but after watching this one several times just for this episode, I remember how rewatchable this movie is, how consistently exciting it is, and how it just subsequent viewings give you just more opportunities to dig a little bit deeper into details. And it's exactly how this one is designed, right? It's got elements of intrigue, mystery, action, suspense. Every crew member, I feel, gets a moment to shine in this one. So I think it's the perfect send-off, although it always makes me kind of pause when I say that because of Generations.
Right.
But it does feel like the perfect ending for the original series arc in their cinematic run.
It really is. And just like you said, too, everything you said, this is a perfectly paced Star Trek film. Yeah. Perfectly paced. You never get bored at all. From the beginning, when you get the explosion of Praxis, all the way to the end of this thing, you are completely glued to that screen. If you told me that I was going to go see a movie that involved some war, some corruption, politics, I'd be like, I don't know if I want to see it or not. But this movie has it all. Just like you said, Scott. It's got everything wrapped up in perfectly put in here from beginning to end. I really did. It was a struggle for me for a while to put this one ahead of Wrath of Khan, because Wrath of Khan's got the death of Spock, and I think that's what a lot of people hold on to, because that was just so powerful. But when you really put the two movies together, this one just has so much goodness going for it, right? I mean, it just written so well. And I know we're about ready to talk about the cast, but I'm going to go ahead and let the cat out of the bag on this one. Christopher Plummer was phenomenal.
Oh yeah,
as Chang in this.
Yeah, he steals the show.
He does
consistently.
Yeah, best performer, in my opinion, in this entire movie. When he's giving on the trial of McCoy and Kirk, I think that's some of his best performance right there. That whole sequence. I mean, I was just glued to the screen, listening to every word coming out of his mouth. And I've seen this movie countless times, but I'm still listening to everything he's saying, because that scene in itself is put together so well.
Yeah, I agree, because a lot of people say that Khan is the perfect adversary for Kirk, but I really think it's Chang.
Mm-hmm.
I really do. They're more of an equal, more of the opposite sides of the coin than Khan is to Kirk. I think he's phenomenal.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, and it doesn't. I'm thinking about when you describe the moment that you go to see it in the theater. I remember when Praxis exploded in the theater, it hit you like a hammer.
Yeah.
And it did not let up, but
Right.
it had the appropriate amount of pacing to go through. I think, Wayne, thanks to you again, the idea of the trilogy that got started with Wrath of Khan hits even harder with this one. Keeping that in mind, knowing how much this does have to do with the loss of Kirk's son, and how much that still reverberates with him. Now as kind of an ambassador role, right? How do I move forward with this and not let my own personal beliefs and biases get in the way of what has to happen? I love seeing the next generation DNA
Yes.
in this one. It is a reminder of how great a time that was for so many intellectual properties. But you can see the advancements of next generation, where it kind of informs where they had to kind of plus things up, especially from where we just were with Final Frontier.
Big difference.
Yeah, and I was so happy to see the David Warner redemption.
Yes.
With this one, one of my favorites. And I don't know how it lines up with Batman the Animated Series, but it is very hard not to see this as Ra's al Ghul, the Klingon. His voice, when he introduces his daughter, I'm like, he almost says Talia al Ghul. I know he almost does.
It's weird because he has less to do in this film than he did in Star Trek V, but he has more of an impact in this film than he does
by far.
in that useless character from Star Trek V. It's great.
Yeah, the little bit of time he had on screen here was so powerful and so impactful to the entire story. And I don't know how many minutes he was on screen, but it was not a lot.
No.
Well, I mean, he makes a tremendous impact, just his presence when they beam onto the platform, and his cane is the fang of something.
Yeah.
A targ, I guess. I don't know. Like,
And his outfit's
something
badass.
massive.
Come
Yes.
on, it's badass.
Yeah, the costume work is phenomenal for the Klingons
Yes.
in this one.
Absolutely. I feel like when they were creating this one, they realized the misstep they had with the Final Frontier, and they're like, man, we come back with this one, we got to come back big. We got to come back swinging for the home run wall. And they did.
Yeah.
They hit it. They hit it good.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, they're benefiting also from the next generation, and just the fact that, this is the first film that we've had the Klingons have been really established further back than what because before in the other films we really don't know too much about the Klingons other than they're all wearing the same outfits and stuff. But the next generation really took that race and flourished them and showed that a whole culture, different types, different Klingons, and this film really shows that it benefits big time for the next generation.
Absolutely. Everybody of the original crew did a fantastic job in this. And Scott, you even pointed out that everybody seemed to have enough going on and enough to do in this film that it felt comfortable. It felt natural that we had everybody doing something and going on. Even Sulu's not on the Enterprise, he's on the Excelsior, but he still did a phenomenal job enough that we loved him being in this and what he accomplished to help the Enterprise on their mission here. All of that was fantastic. Of course, we have Kim Cattrall, who joins us as Lieutenant Valeris. I think we talked about this before, that they had mentioned that they were going to try to bring back Saavik in some kind of role. And I believe a rumor was out there that it was going to be this role. And I think Kim Cattrall even had that impression that she was going to take on the role, which is why at first she didn't want it. But when she found out it was a new character, she said, oh, yeah, absolutely. And thank God Saavik did not come back, because if that was Saavik's character, I would have been really pissed.
Saavik a traitor? No. Yeah. That would have been horrible. That would have destroyed that character.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah, I think the audience would have been way too conflicted.
Absolutely.
With it. And it would have felt like kind of odd backstory. I think it's richer that we know that there's a relationship between her and Spock as her sponsor in the Academy, and him having followed her career. It gives more depth and breadth to his connection to other Vulcans.
Yeah. And I thought Kim was fantastic in this.
Oh, she is.
From when you first meet her to all the way to when you find out who she really is, her performance, and we'll get to it a little bit when we talk about the film, but that scene between her and Spock on the bridge when he mind melds, that was just phenomenal. But we'll get to that.
Yeah, I would say, I'll wait for it, but I would say that her delivery and her performance for each one of those is pitch perfect.
Yes.
I'm trying to think if anything was off, but just, she delivers so many amazing lines and has such a substantial role in this. It's great.
Yep, absolutely. Mark Leonard coming back as Sarek. He's not in it very much, but it's nice to see him back. I believe this was his last time playing Sarek, is it not? No. I can't... Was he in the next...
Oh, no, he was in Next Gen because he had the arc with Picard after this, right?
But his appearances... Let's see. He appeared in Sarek, which was before this film, and then he appeared in when his character died in Unification.
That's right.
I believe that aired just before this movie came out, so this technically is his last performance. Yeah.
So in that neighborhood, it was his last performance. So not much of a role in this one, but it was still nice to see him, on screen. I'll tell you also who it was nice to see was Grace Lee Whitney, and getting her to have a little bit of some dialogue on the Excelsior. I love that. I was like, thank you for giving somebody else from the original crew, a shot at this. I know she's not a big character, but, she had a lot to do with the original Star Trek. So it was nice to see that. It was really good. Brock Peters as Admiral Cartwright in this. Wayne, I know we see him later on in Deep Space Nine.
That's right. Yeah, big part, too.
Yeah, big part. I think he plays Sisko's father, does he not?
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, Joseph Sisko. So it's nice to see him. Another actor that I always laugh when I see him now because I'm so used to him from that 70s show is, of course, Kurtwood Smith playing the Federation president. Every time I see him on screen in this movie, I kept hearing his line, when my time comes, I want to be buried face down. That way whoever doesn't like me can kiss my ass. I still
have a hard time separating him from RoboCop.
Yes. Yeah, that's true too.
It's hard to see him through the where we're used to seeing him and seeing him through the makeup. But great performance.
Absolutely.
And he would return too for 2 episodes of Voyager as well. A different character though.
Yeah, absolutely. I love how they keep the in-house going on. You do such a good job. Let's bring you back for another character. Who cares? Keep it rolling for sure. So we already mentioned Christopher Plummer and David Warner, both of them fantastic in this. John Shook as a Klingon ambassador. He's been in a lot of Star Trek too. 2 Star Trek films. I know this one in Voyage Home, and then he did some television for Star Trek.
Yeah.
So, more people who are just popping up all over the place for Star Trek. Of course, we get a nice little surprise. Christian Slater popping up on us on the Excelsior.
Yep.
I remember when I first saw this in theater, when the door popped open, and then you get that little bit of silhouette with him, but you hear his voice, and then when he showed it, I was like, "Wow, Christian Slater in Star Trek? What?"
Yep.
So that was kind of a nice surprise.
You do know why he's in the film, don't you?
Because of his mother being the casting director.
Yeah,
yes,
that's correct. Yep.
It's funny. Wayne, Jeff, and I did the Name of the Rose, and she was also the casting director for that film. And Christensen, of course, had a much bigger role in that film than he does in this one, but still, kind of funny. For everyone who knows The Next Generation, Michael Dorn makes a wonderful appearance in this as the Klingon defense attorney for Kirk and McCoy. Apparently, he's playing the grandfather of his character, Worf.
Yeah,
from my understanding.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool. I mean, as soon as you hear him, you're like, "Oh, that's Michael Dorn." You cannot miss that voice whatsoever.
Yeah. And his presence. Yeah.
Yes, and his presence for sure. Wayne's buddy Tom Morga is in this film, of course.
That's correct. Yep.
And for those who want to hear a funny story about him, please go catch our Con Men 3 about Tom Morga and Wayne, because it is absolutely hysterical.
Although you might have to wait in the line, but anyway.
But you might. That's right.
Yeah.
And then Wayne, you and I, William Morgan Shepard, Klingon commander of the prison there, Major Trimble in Gettysburg.
Mm-hmm.
I know that's where he's from. He's got a lot of other stuff, obviously, but I know him,
including Doctor Who.
Of course, of course,
of course.
So, and I think there's another member of the Klingon cast, Rosanna DeSoto, as Ed Bohr, who I've got to pronounce like David Warner does, does an amazing job as the subsequent Chancellor in this one.
Yes.
The entire time I was like, she's in on it. She's got to be in on it, but she's not, and just handles it expertly.
Yeah. She's innocent. I mean, again, a great script. They have us fooled. We don't know what's going on.
Right. A lot of twists and turns.
Yep. Absolutely.
Which, let me bring it up too. On The Next Generation, it's stated that females are not allowed to be Chancellor. I think some writer forgot to watch Star Trek 6: The Undiscovered Country.
Shame on them. Do their homework. All right, guys. Well, let's take a break, and when we come back, we will start talking about this film and breaking it down. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody, where we are here at Phaser Set to Stun. Scott, Wayne, and I are discussing Star Trek 6, The Undiscovered Country. All right, guys, let's talk about this film, because there is so much stuff that we could talk about. We could probably be here for a couple hours talking about this film. I like that they dedicated it to Gene Roddenberry, because he passed away, just not too long after this one was complete, right?
Yeah, it was months before. I'm trying to remember exactly. I think it was during the summer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I know he got to see it as a complete film, but I think he passed away, a few days after he got to see it as a complete film. It hadn't been released in theaters yet, but he got to see it at least. So at least, hopefully he liked it, is all I got to say.
I read the story. He gave them the thumbs up after he watched it, walked out of the theater, and then called his lawyer and told them to immediately get a hold of Paramount, because he didn't like the fact that there was a lot of conflict, a lot of political conflict, and a lot of trade. The whole behind the scenes stuff with people trying to undermine the treaty. He didn't like very much, but then he passed away before anything could happen. So his lawyers just kind of forgot about it, let it slide.
Well, yeah, because it's a good film. That's why they let it slide.
Yeah.
Let it go.
Knew he was wrong. Yeah.
Yeah, no kidding. But this movie opens up with a huge bang, as we already know.
Literally.
Praxis explodes Klingon moon. Of course, the USS Excelsior is very, very close to that, so they take a little bit of a beating because of that. But it's a good way to start this film. It really pulls you in immediately to what's going on, and then they quickly, obviously, go to that meeting with everybody that are pulling the Kirk and all of them in. I love the fact that when Kirk arrives, he goes, "Where's Spock? Where the hell is Spock?" And then, of course, he shows up to run the meeting.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's some interesting use of helmsman in this one. Obviously, Sulu has that expert control of the, turning into the wave when it hits Praxis. But the casting of Valeris in the helmsman position, I think is also kind of interesting, because Valeris is in on it and has to be able to keep her ship running with the cloaked bird of prey beneath it. Right. If it had been another helmsman, I think there may have been, I don't know. I think Sulu probably would have noticed that something was off.
Yeah.
And yeah, then they go right into that amazing, I don't know what you call it, kind of assembly.
Conference, media assembly, whatever. Yeah,
It's
Yeah,
a great scene.
it is.
yeah, yeah. Great dynamics between Kirk and Spock.
And it goes back to kind of what you were talking about earlier, Scott, about going back and revisiting some of the stuff that happened with his son here. He hates the Klingons. Kirk does. He absolutely hates them, and he's not hiding it here. I mean, the fact when Cartwright even talks about, we should not be doing this. Let's bring them to their knees, and then we can do something about it. It's hard to imagine that Kirk agrees with him here, but he does. I mean, for good reason. I mean, for what happened with him. I love that dialogue between him and Spock when they're confronting one another, and Kirk is like, "Don't believe them, don't trust them," and Spock is like, "Jim, they are dying. Let them die." I thought that was just whoa, Kirk. You mean you've not really seen that from him in these movies like that, but it makes sense.
Yeah, it does make sense because really you have to understand. I see where Kirk is coming from. If you look at his history with the Klingons, it's not been a very good history. I mean, not just the death of his son, which is probably the worst thing, but all the way back to the original series, he has not had very good encounters with Klingons whatsoever. So I can see where his prejudice comes from. And I think that's the whole point of the film, though they wrote it.
Yeah.
There's two sides of it, and you can see both sides where they're coming, but you have to overcome that. And he does.
Yeah. Which is a good arc for his character in this film. It is.
Yes.
And it's needed because everything he goes through and he gets to the point that he does towards the end of this film, it really makes you feel more for Kirk in this film. So it makes sense. Again,
Well, something I found that seems interesting, and I don't know how much validity I'll do the Wayne test on it, but there was a moment in the novelization or a scene that they had cut out where Carol Marcus dies. Very soon before this, some kind of an attack on a station or something like that involves the Klingons, and
That sounds familiar.
she's killed. Let me find my notes on it. Hold on a second.
It's been a long time since I read that novel with 30 some years, but that sounds familiar. I think that was in there.
Yeah, so in the tie-in novel, one of the people that's attacked near the Federation Klingon neutral zone border is Dr. Marcus. So he finds out about the attack, goes to see her in the ICU, and is with her when she dies. And it apparently leads right up to this movie. So with that kind of subplot in mind, it makes more sense why he has more of these emotions kind of stirred up. And anybody who only has exposure to the Kirk and Klingon relationship in the cinematic universe obviously understands it, because in Search for Spock, the obvious tension, but then what we had with Final Frontier that we just watched, right? They're always kind of cast in that villainous role, but at a very interesting time when Next Generation is giving them more depth with Worf and all the other kind of insights into the Klingon Empire.
Yeah.
They're not just villains. There's a lot more to them than that.
Yeah.
Right.
I like the touch too that they did here when the Enterprise is leaving dock. It's kind of a callback to Savick. Remember when they were taking it out about the quarter impulse power, and then of course she's like kind of questioning Kirk, and everybody's like looking like, "Are we doing this again?"
Yeah.
Here we go again.
I dork moment every time I leave the my garage when I'm backing out of it. That line goes in my head, like, "Take it easy, take it easy,
take it easy." Yeah. But no, that was a nice touch, and I'm sure that was a Nicholas Meyer thing. Since he did the Wrath of Khan, so I like that. It was a nice touch for this for sure. So let's talk about the meeting of the Klingons and bringing them over to the Enterprise. That whole sequence I thought was really well done, because you can feel the tension in the air between everybody. And even when you get to the end of that scene and the Klingons like obviously are transporting back to their ship, and everybody just goes like, "Oh my God, thank God it's over."
Yeah. Bones kind of rips the lapel and
yes. But what's funny is Kirk didn't even wait. They hadn't even beamed yet, and Kirk is like palming his face before they even beamed away.
And you can see Chang watching that too.
Yes.
He's totally studying him.
But that first introduction between Chang and Kirk, was just tension building, man. I mean, just getting in his face like that, and that was tough, especially for what Kirk has been through and just having to hold back because, I mean, the mission that they're on, they have to do their job. So he can't, he has to bite his tongue basically right here, and what a captain would do. That was a really powerful, good scene.
Yeah, I think that's one of my favorite parts of the film, from their transporting on to the point where they transport off and the dinner. Yeah. It is so awkward for everyone in that room, and the way the actors play it, it's great. It's beautifully directed, wonderfully acted. It's just an incredibly awkward. But you understand why. You got two people who hate one another trying to sit down and be nice to each other. It's funny, but it's also rather scary at the same time.
Yeah. And Chang, of course, using obviously some Shakespeare stuff here, and trying to use quotes and stuff against Kirk. And when Kirk says we need breathing room Earth, Hitler, 1938.
Yeah.
The look on Spock's face is like, what?
Yeah. There are so many looks from Spock, like he's the mom that would kick you under the table and raise their eyebrow, right, and say like, "Do you mind?" Yeah. I love in that first transporter scene when they transport over. There's that brief moment where everybody leaves, and I think it's the assassins we ultimately learn that have those comments about the smell and whatnot. The way that scene turns for you after you know Valeris's role, because at first it seems like she's standing there like, you guys didn't know I was here. I'm still keeping order here. I'm the successor to Spock, so you're gonna straighten up and fly right. Go do your jobs. Now you kind of learn that she's like, okay, assassins, go get your boots, go get your suits, let's get to it. And it's just so sinister.
It is. And again, it's written so well that it just goes over your head right there. You don't even think about it or put it together, because you're right. You think she's just doing her job, and you just tell them, look, calm down, stop talking like that, and get out of here, basically. But no, since those three were in on it, and then you go back and realize, oh crap.
Right, and she's the one that suggests the Romulan ale during dinner, and it's like, wow, okay.
I know.
And speaking of the dinner too, I read a little funny story about that food that you're seeing. It's actually squid that's been dyed with the blue coloring, and they wanted Mayor wanted them to eat it, and he told any of them that he'd give them each $20 whoever would take a bite of it. Shatner got $240 out of that before he threw up.
Wow.
Oh.
Yeah.
No thanks.
Nope.
And I think, wasn't it even some of the Klingons, the actors who were playing the Klingons, didn't want to eat? For that's part of it, but the other part was too, if they were caught on camera eating, if they changed the angle, they had to be eating it again, because to keep the continuity going.
Yeah.
So
they chose wisely not to bite into the blue squid there. Right. Although I'm sure whoever's in charge of squid dyeing was like, I did all this work. Okay, fine.
I know, right? Whatever. Fine.
Could have used alfalfa sprouts, but sure.
Yeah. But then, as this movie does so well, because it's put together extremely well, you get all this done. The Klingons go back to their ship, and everybody's like, "Oh my God, I'm done. Let's go to bed. We've had Romulan ale. Everybody's worn out." But you don't get time to breathe as an audience, because you're pulled right back into this. And then when that first photon torpedo gets launched, you're like, "What the hell is going on?" Because you don't know when you first see this film what's happening. And then the second one goes, and this chaos happens. One of the scenes that I think is done so well here is when that first torpedo goes off, and everybody just kind of like turns and looks at the screen. Everyone's kind of like frozen in spot, watching this, just not believing what they're seeing. And then instantly the tension in the air just goes, chaos erupts. The alarms are going off on the ship. Everybody's racing back to their place on the bridge and freaking out. I loved that scene. It was done so well.
Yeah, that's really well done. That second of what the hell's going on, I love that. It's because that's exactly what the audience is thinking. What is going on? What just happened?
Well, and everybody responds in the right way to say, like, check the records, check the inventory, physically check it. Did we fire? How did this happen?
Yeah.
It's also interesting when you think about the long night that this crew is going through.
Mhm.
Like, they had dinner at what, 7:30, and I guess it's like wee hours of the morning when
Yeah.
when he gets called to the bridge to learn about the neutrino surge, and then quickly after that has to go to the ship to save Gorgon, and then is arrested. And they quickly kind of swoop into the trial. I don't know how much time passes. Obviously, it probably has to be a limited time, but they
Yeah.
didn't even change clothes. Like,
No, didn't have time.
yeah,
I mean, you got to think Kirk and McCoy are literally in the same clothes this entire thing after they're put
Right.
through, because what can they do?
right.
You know?
And that subtle little move where Spock puts the tracer on Jim's shoulder.
Yeah.
It took me a long time to realize, like, oh yeah, that's when he slipped it on, and then you can see it when he's getting under the lift. Like, nobody else.
Yeah.
McCoy would have like picked that off his
No one's
shoulder.
noticed that? Really? Come on.
Yeah, right.
It sticks out like a sore thumb. Come on.
Yep, yep.
Another thing I'm going to call out right here for that entire sequence is the score here was phenomenal.
Yeah.
I know it's not Goldsmith or it's not Horner, but I think the score right here was absolutely very, very well done and paced
The whole score
perfectly.
is.
The whole score is, absolutely. And we'll get to that in a little bit later. But yeah, I just thought it was phenomenal right here in this spot, which it needed to be because of what was going on.
Yep.
Another thing that I really like too is when the Klingon ship is coming around and it looks like they're about ready to attack, and Kirk immediately says, "We surrender," and Uhura looks like, "Captain?" And he goes, "We surrender." I'm like, because of course you do, because I mean, what's going on? If you fire again or you put up your shields, it's over.
Yeah. Well, and it's a line you never think you would hear Kirk say.
Yeah.
And it's absolutely the right call to make. And he's like, no, we need to shut down, stand down, and lean into diplomacy.
Yeah.
So, very different Kirk here.
Yeah. I like that Kirk and McCoy did go over and try to, fix things, but obviously, McCoy did his best, but then the Klingons obviously didn't see it that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, they
McCoy-
knew. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, McCoy gets a chance to shine there as a physician. The lengths that he goes to try to save him, and him panicking to say, like, I don't even know his anatomy. I don't know how to fix him. I wonder how much the assassins did know about Klingon anatomy. Like, did they know exactly where to shoot them? Not knowing, where the heart's located, things like that. But it was a fatal shot to Gorkon. Everybody else, there was like, arms lopped off and whatnot. So obviously injuries and fatalities. But
Right.
There were a lot of purple blood flying around.
There was indeed.
yeah, which was a smart call behind the scenes to not make it red blood, so that they could avoid R rating.
Yeah.
And then to go on with the trial, I know we touched a little bit on that already. That whole trial sequence is my favorite part of this film, because it's just put together so well. You have the same fear that Kirk and McCoy has in this scene, because they're away from the Federation. No one can rescue them now. They know they're screwed. It's over. And they're with they have those devices up that are their ears listening in. The translators of what's being said. And even if you do get a good trial, you're not going to get what you're supposed to get going up against Klingons like this. I mean, come on, man. They know who you are. They know what you've done. You're cooked. It's over. Granted, obviously, they didn't get sentence of death, obviously, but they got sent to Aurora Penthe, which is obviously a prison, a mine for the Klingons. That it's pretty much over if you go there. But that whole sequence there, I just thought was phenomenal. I really do.
Well, the trial is the opposite of what's exactly the same as what was happening earlier. Kirk, he has hatred towards the Klingons. Well, the Klingons have hatred towards Kirk and the Federation, and it's just showing the other side of the coin, the other direction, and how the Klingons, it's what do they call that? A fixed trial. Of course it is. But it's because of that hatred. They don't like the Federation at all, and they need someone to blame.
Yeah. One of the things that I think sets this movie apart from some of the other Star Treks, it just feels much more epic, because you're getting to see so much more going on in the galaxy. Them just going to Aurora Penthe, getting to see all these other alien creatures, and it just seems to fit better. It felt like to me like I was witnessing a little bit more of what you see in Star Wars. Not to bring Star Wars into Star Trek, I love both. So, but it really felt much more on a grander scale than we've seen in other Star Treks. I mean, I know the other ones were pretty big too, don't get me wrong, but it just has that vibe and that feel to this film, that's why it sets it apart more for me.
Yeah, I feel like there's almost a little bit of Deep Space Nine DNA
Yes.
in this one because you get um, characters from other species that have very important roles. Whether you think about the guy who starts the prison fight with Kirk and gets kicked in the knees, in air quotes, and Iman playing the Kamaloid. I think it was a great call and a great use of the, even though the morphing technology at that point wasn't as advanced as it is now, but it's still used very, very well. And you get a sampling of different aliens in different ways. Rather than just having, I know that when they have the end scene, there's all the people that applaud and some people in more awkward ways than others. But to give them some substance and some purpose in a role, I think is a good move.
Yeah, I agree. I like the sequences too that we get back and forth. That you see them on the Enterprise or trying to find out who did this by searching the Enterprise. We're getting to see different parts of the ship that we don't normally get to see. Which apparently was a big deal back then. People were throwing a fit about some of the things they showed on screen, which I thought that was just silly. But I enjoyed that. Yeah. I do. But when what I'm talking about
you're talking about the phaser in the galley and stuff. Well, first of all, I was one of those people that it didn't make any sense, but someone pointed out to me that in the original series, Janice Rand had mentioned that she warmed up Kirk's drink or his coffee using a phaser in the galley. So why not? Why would they not keep him? I mean, what if people beam in and that's where they beam into the ship? What are you supposed to do? Throw a pan at them?
Right. You need access to a phaser immediately. You never know when that's going to happen.
Yeah.
So it makes perfect sense to me. But good.
Well, I think it could have exposed the entire conspiracy, because if I was that cook that was making the pancake batter for 40 or the goulash or whatever it was in that pot that Valeris vaporized, I would have been like, yep, she did it. She did it. That's totally evil. Yeah.
I love how everybody comes running into fired a phaser.
Yeah.
They could have been like, Valeris, you could have just said it. You could have just said that out loud. You didn't need to be a jerk to the cook.
Yeah.
No, but that was really well done. So and then just between that back and forth with the prison and stuff like that, I just thought that was cut together very, very well. Such good editing of and keeping that story rolling so that you never get bored of what's going on. Again, going back to that, this film is extremely well paced.
Yeah, it is.
Well, and powerful delivery from Christopher Plummer in that moment when he's like, "Don't wait for the translation, answer me now."
Yeah,
like he's so intense right there. I love it.
He is. That's his best performance, I feel, is right there. It's just over the top and so well done.
Yeah.
So, what other scenes did you guys really, really like about this? There's so much still to talk about that we could talk about, but there is just I tell you what, let's talk about them finding out Valeris is behind all of this on the Enterprise.
There's a lot of controversy with that scene.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about that, Wayne. What do you got?
Well, I mean, what is Spock exactly doing to her? I mean, obviously it's a mind meld, but a lot of people were thinking that's he's violating her. He's practically mind raping her.
Yeah, I agree.
Is what a lot of people are saying, but you have to look at the situation. Yeah, I mean, he is doing it against her will. But a lot was at stake.
Yes,
a lot was at stake. I mean, the whole freaking galaxy was at stake. Peace, if a war started, think of the countless millions of people that would have died and starships lost. So, I mean, in my opinion, Spock was justified doing that because they needed the answer.
Yeah.
And she was the only one that was going to be able to give it to him.
Yeah. I agree. There's a balance there, and it's tough to cross that line because you're right. It is like a mind rape of what you're doing to somebody here. But in that situation, you don't have a choice, man. It's you're either doing that or you're going to have thousands and thousands and thousands of people getting killed.
Right.
End of story.
Well, and I know
such
that
a powerful scene too.
It is.
It really is. And Kim Cattrall's performance in that, and how Leonard Nimoy responds. I love when his voice cracks and he says she does not know. But the trembling and the tears that she comes to. I know there was something that I had read where somebody had said it was because he was pulling out memories or pulling out thoughts, and they were pulling out the kind of elements of betrayal of their relationship, which is what caused that traumatic kind of shaking and that reaction that she had. It's definitely disturbing to watch that kind of
It is.
violation.
And it should be. And it should be.
Yeah.
Right,
Yep.
and I don't know if I've ever necessarily seen an involuntary mind meld like that. But wow, it's very powerful.
I think that's the only one that I can think of.
I can't think of any other ones. Yeah.
Yeah, so that just makes it that's much more
It's-
important.
It's just not something a Vulcan does. I mean, it's
Correct.
It's against their not policies, but the way they do things. And but Spock, like I said, it had to be done. They needed that information. They couldn't wait any longer.
Yeah, one of the things that led up to that I loved was just seeing that anger in Spock when they lay the trap and they're in the medical bay, and he's laying down and she comes in. And, she's got that phaser pointing at him. And he just, hauls back and just smashes that phaser away from her and knocks it away. I was like, damn, Spock. You could just feel the anger in the room right there when he did that, showing those emotions that he doesn't normally show.
Well, I think it's another reason why it's good that we didn't get Savick back.
Yes.
Because I feel like there's so much more of a mentor-mentee kind of relationship between Spock and Valeris. They have that ceremonial scene where he says, I intend you to be my replacement, and she says, I could only succeed you. And you can see the respect that they have for each other, the amount of time that they've spent in that role to have that kind of betrayal. I can see why he goes to the scene where he says, I prefer it dark. And
It would have been a different dynamic though between Valeris and Savick, because let's see, at this point Savick would have been like 10 or 15 years after Wrath of Khan, so she would have been a fully established Starfleet officer. I don't think Spock would have had that strong of emotions, that strong of betrayal as with someone like Valeris, who he's very familiar with recently and has been training.
Yeah. No, you're right. I completely agree with that. Let's talk a little bit about the final battle that we get here. Sulu and the Excelsior are coming in as quickly as they can. They almost get to Camp Kittimer where they're having the peace talks. And then as they slow up, you get that, I see you, Kirk. Absolutely love that.
Yeah.
That just gives you chills. And then that whole battle just ensues. And they figure out how to, get that photon torpedo to find that cloaked bird of prey. And as soon as that pops up, man, it just go for it. Everybody just fire. I love that sequence.
It's got to have a tailpipe.
Yeah,
right?
exactly, it does. Yeah.
Let me say that the visual effects for this sequence are incredible. They are absolutely beautiful, perfectly done on every bit. Thank God ILM's back.
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
This film looked beautiful. It did.
Yeah.
You could tell ILM was back and was at the top of their game again, because it shows very well in this film. All right, well, let's go ahead and take another break, guys, and then we come back. We will continue our discussion of Star Trek VI, The Undiscovered Country. Welcome back, everybody, where we are continuing our discussion here at Phaser Set to Stun for Star Trek VI, The Undiscovered Country. So I thought the film wrapped up pretty nicely, guys, there at the end. The crew coming to... Scotty finally gets to save the day and shoot the assassin. I love that. I was like, yes!
Yeah.
Scotty gets it! Yes!
Yep. And a sneaky cameo we got there with Odo.
Odo?
Renee,
Yes.
I always mispronounce it. Renee
Auberjois.
Auberjois. Thank you.
Thanks, Wayne.
I loved seeing the Scooby-Doo moment where the mask is ripped off and it's like, it's Odo.
Yeah.
Well, none of those scenes were in the original release. Those are all, those were all put in later.
Yeah, found that interesting.
Well, it's put together extremely well.
It is.
So this movie, here's one of the things that I'm trying to figure out. So the Federation builds these starships, which probably are not instant overnight, putting these together. They probably take months, I would think, to put them together. How long do they keep a starship going on missions out there? Is it 5 years? Is it 10 years? I'm not talking missions that the crew's on. How long is a ship going for before they retire it? Before they retire it?
Usually about 30 to 40 years.
Okay, so here's my problem with this. They are going to mothball the Enterprise here. This new Enterprise is only 6 years old.
True.
Because it was new in the Final Frontier at the beginning, even though it was a hunk of junk at that time.
You're right.
They couldn't get it working yet. Yeah.
And this is six years later, right? From Final Frontier?
Actually, we don't really know the age because maybe I'm wrong here. Someone, please email me if I'm incorrect. But the Enterprise A was originally the Yorktown, I believe it was. That's before they changed its name. But I don't think we were ever told how old the Yorktown was.
Fair enough. Okay. If that's the case, then I'll let that go. But it was just bothering me. I'm like, wait a minute, isn't this supposed to be a new ship? It's only 6 years old.
Yeah.
You're right. And it didn't take a beating that looked like it. I mean, all that stuff looked like it'd be fixed. I mean,
Easily. Yeah. I understand the crew was done. I mean, because they've been around for so long. And I like that the Kirk and them were like, the Starfleet's demanding us to come back. And we're like, nope.
Yeah.
We're going to keep going. See ya.
Well, and a great Peter Pan type line from
Yes.
Kirk, where he says, "Second star to the right, straight on until morning." Like for his kind of character, I thought that was really fitting way to go out.
Yeah.
And the whole captain's log at the end really fit in with the Next Generation here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
it was absolutely perfect. Yes, absolutely perfect.
And that shot with all of them together is just an incredible ending shot.
Yep. Yeah, couldn't agree more.
Well, and I was glad they would find a clever way to incorporate Sulu into that shot as well.
Yeah.
Right. They get that kind of exchange of respect. And yeah, hats off to Sulu in this one. He's
absolutely
amazing.
To the rescue for sure, quite a few times. So kudos to him. All right, any little information you want to talk about behind the scenes, guys? I know there's tons about this movie that's out there, which you can just go and research it for. But anything interesting that you guys might have found?
Well, I got my film facts later, but I want to bring up the trailer. Does any of you remember how the trailer premiered? I'm not sure if you saw it this way, but where did you guys see the trailer for the first time? Do you remember?
I honestly don't remember.
Oh, I do.
I don't know.
I do. I remember exactly where it premiered. Remember back in the early 90s, there used to be a channel called QVC.
Mm-hmm.
It's where you went on there and you bought stuff. Well, occasionally, about 3 or 4 times a year, they would have something called a Star Trek night, where they would invite guests from Star Trek on there, and they'd sell like autographs and trinkets and stuff like that. And that summer, I think it was in August of '91, they had William Shatner on there, and they premiered the trailer first time before it was even in theaters for Star Trek VI. And I just happened to be watching it that night. Of course, I was the biggest Trekkie ever. I mean, I was Trekkie to the extreme. I was currently having a movie version uniform being made at the tailors, and so I could wear it for the premiere, which I never did, but I did have it's made. It's still hanging in my closet as of this day. But
nice.
But yeah, that's where the trailer premiered. I thought it was rather odd, but I wanted to bring that up as just a little memory that I had.
That's pretty
interesting.
Cool.
Yeah. Well, and of all the ways to kind of sneak it where it likely won't leak. I mean, you've got to be deeply entrenched to know what night is Star Trek night on QVC.
Well, we all know. All of us Trekkies knew. Yeah.
Right. It's like nobody's going to be able to scramble for their VCR and
no
leak this anyplace. But yeah.
No kidding. All right, Wayne, let's talk about the score for this film.
Oh yeah.
As we mentioned, this is not Jerry Goldsmith. This is not James Horner. It's Cliff Idleman who
tried to get them.
They did, but I tell you, even though they couldn't get them, and they got Cliff did a phenomenal job in this film.
I think this was his first studio film, just like James Horner. Mm-hmm. This was his first film. I remember on Entertainment Tonight, back just before the film came out, they had a big interview with him and showed him conducting, and he did a phenomenal job with this for a start, just like Horner did.
Yeah.
I guess Meyer just likes choosing new people, and he really knows how to choose them.
Yeah. I like his usage of a men's chorus in this.
Yeah.
Which is you don't get a lot of. Usually it's a female choir, or it's young boys. But this was a men's chorus, and like using those non-Western instruments. I thought that was phenomenal choices on his part because it works so well in this film.
Oh, with the Klingons, yes,
Yes.
it really works well. It's a much darker score.
Yep.
But even, it works perfectly with the film and the visuals, but it's such a great listen just separate, when you're listening to the soundtrack. It's a pity that he really hasn't done much after this. I know he was hoping that this would springboard a pretty big career, but and I know he has done films, but the only thing I can remember is that Christopher Columbus film that came out shortly after this film that he did. I wish we would have seen more. I know he tried to be the composer for Star Trek Discovery. He had sent them promo tapes and everything, and unfortunately they didn't choose him. I wish they would have.
I don't get it though, because he's so good in this. How did
He
he
is
not
so
get
good.
bigger work?
I don't know. I've heard some of his concert work too. He does concert piece, and it's all phenomenal. I guess the stars weren't aligned for him.
I guess. Because, I thought it was perfectly fitting because I know when I went to not seeing those composers we normally see, but then when you do hear the score, it's like, man, this is pretty damn good.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And that opening overture that leads right into the explosion, which I think the music just perfectly goes in it. It's so powerful, and it's suddenly silent, and then boom, what an incredible opening.
And doesn't overuse the Star Trek theme. We don't get it until late into the film.
You're right.
Which is perfectly fitting for this film that they did that.
Yeah, and his in credits fanfare is one of my favorite in credits, along with Goldsmith's. I love it. I listen to it over and over again.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, well, let's talk about some Easter eggs, Wayne. I know you're salivating to talk about this because you're so good at it. So go ahead. What did you find in this film?
Well, see, now we can call these Easter eggs because we've got a lot of Star Trek on TV and movies now, so I'm going to start calling it that. Well, to start off for us Trekkies, this film takes place in the year 2293. That means the opening scenes for Star Trek Generations with Kirk and Chekhov and Scotty take place in the same year, probably just a few months after the events of this. Filming for this movie took place during the break between the 4th and the 5th season of Star Trek The Next Generation. Although this is the final Star Trek film to feature the entire original series cast, only Nichelle Nichols and DeForest Kelley actually make their final Star Trek appearances here in this film. We see, James Doohan returns in Relics, the episode of The Next Generation. Shatner, of course, comes back for Generations, as well as Walter Koenig, George Takei. He appeared on Star Trek Voyager again, and of course Leonard Nimoy appeared in Next Generation and then Star Trek and Star Trek Into Darkness.
Yep.
At the same time that the Undiscovered Country was filming, there was another movie that was filming very close to their soundstage called Frankie and Johnny. It was being directed by Gary Marshall. He had arranged for William Shatner, Leonard Nimoy, and DeForest Kelley to appear in their full Star Trek costumes and makeup, just off camera behind a door at one scene, so that when Al Pacino, who was the star of that film, would open the door, he would get an actual look of surprise on his face.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Now, while you can't see this on screen, you just have to trust me on this. General Chang's eye patch had the Klingon crest painted on each one of those rivets. Oh, very, very tiny.
That's detail right there.
Yeah.
There's a little boo-boo that they made. In the credits at the end of the film, Uhura is accidentally spelled Uhuru with a U at the end.
Oops. Oh, no. Don't do that.
Okay, we got... this film was nominated for 2 Academy Awards, one for Best Makeup and another for Best Sound Effects Editing. Unfortunately, it lost both. And then, of course, we can't talk about Undiscovered Country and the events if we don't talk a little bit about the Star Trek Voyager episode Flashback, which also takes place during the events at the beginning of this film with the destruction of Praxis. But it also establishes that the character of Tuvok had served as an ensign on the Excelsior. They used some of the footage, a little bit of the footage, and the visual effects in that episode, but because there were about 6 years difference, and they brought back all the original cast members from the Undiscovered Country, there would have been a little bit of a change, especially, they've aged about 6 years. So all the shots were refilmed to match what Nicholas Mayer had done, but it's all new footage. It's a great episode. If you see Undiscovered Country, you have to watch this episode. It actually shows some of the behind the scenes of what happened to the Excelsior as it was traveling to the conference to rescue Kirk.
That's cool.
Wow, I gotta check that out. I've never seen that.
Never seen it. One of the best episodes of the series.
It is really good.
That's season 3?
Yes, that's season 3, close to the beginning of it. Yeah, it was made for the 30th anniversary. Yeah,
cool.
All right, NBC was the channel of choice for the first TV airing of the film when it aired on November 6, 1994, just 12 days before the release of Star Trek Generations. This would be the first time that Star Trek would be shown on NBC since the animated series aired back in 1973.
Oh, wow.
And to end off, merchandise-wise, there wasn't too much for this film as well, just because of how bad Star Trek V bombed and burnt a lot of the people who were making merchandise. But of course, a novelization of the film was published by Pocket Books, written again by J.M. Dillard, as well as an audiobook, this time read by James Doohan. Starlog Magazine, of course, released the official movie magazine. DC Comics once again released a comic adaptation for the film, this time both in standard and special edition covers, adapted by Peter David, with art by Gordon Purcell. AMT released a range of models, again with their Star Trek VI logo, which included the U.S. Enterprise A, the Klingon D7 battlecruiser, and the Bird of Prey. Hamilton Collectibles got into the release as well with collector's plates from Star Trek VI, scenes from the film in their line of movie series plates. We also have Carmike Cinemas, which I had never heard of, but apparently that was the 4th largest theater chain in the U.S. at the time. Offered collectible drink cups and popcorn bags to moviegoers in their cinema chain. Now, I hope I'm pronouncing this name correctly, but Faltzgraph, that's the company that made the tea set that Sulu was using at the beginning of the film. They made 3,000 reproduction sets and made them available to the public to buy. I do remember that. They had a commercial on TV.
That's cool.
And finally, while there were no action figures at the time of the film, Playmates Toys would start producing its line of Star Trek figures only a few months later. And they would ultimately release both a General Chang and a Mardia figure in their Classics line about 2 years after that.
Very cool. One of the things that I found interesting in this film is this is the first Star Trek film to validate Kirk's middle name, that it's Tiberius.
Ah, that's right. Yeah. Oh, and this is the first time that we hear Sulu's first name actually mentioned on screen. It's been used a lot of times in the novels, but this is the first time we hear it.
Interesting. Cool. Any favorite moments, guys? I know there's a lot in this film.
From beginning to end.
From beginning to end. So, Scott, any favorite moments in this film? I know there's a lot in here, but any favorite for you?
So many. I do like one of the kind of continuing threads that we get is the friendship dynamic between Jim and Bones, and you get that unfortunately on the prison planet when they're having that conversation in the bunks about afraid of the future. Jim kind of opening up there all the way until he gets the kiss from Martia. And Bones is like, "Don't you ever give up? Like, what is with you, man? Please, with you? Come on." And it all culminates when they're having that fight in the snow, and Kirk versus Martia, and they're kind of, rolling around on the ground, and they happen to roll over Bones, and you can see Bones just be like, "Seriously, come on, just get me off this planet."
Yeah, that was fun. Wayne, what about you?
Oh well, I mean, I really do like this film from beginning to end, but I think. Like I mentioned earlier, the dinner scene is one of my favorite scenes from this film, but I also like the battle scene at the end is just so phenomenally done. The shot where the photon torpedo bursts through the Enterprise's saucer section.
Yes.
What an incredible effect. And then when the Chang's Klingon Bird of Prey is destroyed, and you see the inside and the fire rushing through, and I love that shot. They reused that shot in Generations, but I just between the action that's happening here, and we have two starships fighting against the Klingon bird of prey. I mean, that was just incredible. I remember being in the theater and just stunned by how incredible this sequence is.
Yeah.
Well, I think they've got a great lighting effect when the cloaked bird of prey fires, and it's
Yes,
by the
they do.
torpedo that's coming out.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah. All of that is just there's so many good scenes in this movie. It's really hard to pick that favorite moment. But I got to go back to the whole trial scene again. That one was just pumped up so much because of Christopher Plummer's performance there, and that you just know the trap that Kirk and McCoy are in. I think even McCoy even mentions it, like, this is a setup, or don't answer that.
Yeah.
This is a trap. Because it is, and they know they're done for. But just that whole trial sequence and you're getting that big gavel thing of whatever he's using when he's
the big sparky club. Yeah.
I just thought all of that was done so well. So yeah, I think the trial scene is probably one of my favorites, even though there are so many other ones that I could say for the same thing. But I don't want to repeat what you guys have said. But yes, the trial scene I absolutely love.
The lighting in that scene is really, really well done. We don't talk much about the lighting of these films and TV series, but kudos to them because they did a really good job of that.
Yeah, and to think how much everything that happened in this film, so much is going on. You've got the explosion of the moon for the Klingons. Then you have the get together to figure out that the Klingons are going to collapse within 50 years, so they want to basically make peace. Then you have the Enterprise to go get them, and then you have all of this where they blow up they don't blow up the ship, but they kill the Chancellor, and then Kirk and McCoy get captured. They go back, they get put on trial, they get sent to a prison planet. There's so much going on in this film, which I guess that's why you never get bored in this film at all.
And it don't feel cluttered either.
No,
it
not at
flows
all.
From beginning to end perfectly.
Yeah, like I said, it's perfectly paced.
And everything that's running under it and through it, right? Because you have access to Next Generation, so you know that there's a treaty between the Klingons and the Federation at some point, and this is a pivotal moment in that.
Yep.
So knowing how important that is, and all the political undertones and things like that, it makes it a really cohesive story, and it just helps it to age so well.
Yep.
Yeah.
When you mentioned lighting, there was one thing I wanted to ask Wayne as the resident expert. When someone uses a Federation transporter, it has the blue effect, right?
Yeah, that's right.
When somebody uses a Klingon transporter, it has the red effect.
That's right.
So what seemed interesting in this watch was when the assassins beam on to the Klingon ship, they transport on and off with a red transporter effect. Which made me think, could somebody have been watching this and thought that the assassins may have beamed over from the cloaked ship? But I know they didn't, because they came back and forth from Enterprise.
That's a good catch.
Or did they beam to the Klingon ship first and then beam over there?
Right.
True, but then they would have left the boots on the Klingon ship and then beamed back to Enterprise. Technicality, but anyway.
It's something to think about when I watch it next. Yeah.
Good point. All right. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us on this. I absolutely love breaking down the Undiscovered Country with you. Again, I'm going to say it is my favorite Star Trek film of the OG crew. So,
likewise.
Thank you so much.
Yep. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, listeners, for hanging out there with us. And if you have anything that you want to talk about, maybe we missed, maybe you want to jump on what we were talking about to discuss, you can always check us out at afilmbypodcast.com. For any film and TV articles, and our entire library streaming free. You can write to us at afilmbypodcast@gmail.com with your questions, comments, and concerns. We just may read your response on the show and send you some A Film By swag. Thank you so much, and we will see you next time on another episode of Phasers Set to Start.